killing the boy is not enough. To become a man of power, you must replace weakness with strategy, because if you don't, the boy inside returns. And this time, he doesn't cry, he sabotages, he whispers doubts, chases comfort, fears judgment, and he does it all, pretending he's helping you. Machiavelli understood this. The man must not just survive the boy, he must replace him with a version too disciplined to fall. This is how you become unshakable. So, what happens after the boy is killed? Greater than most men stop there. They cut the softness, they kill the comfort, they throw away naivety, but they never replace it. Greater than, they confuse pain for transformation and mistake silence for growth. But Machiavelli knew destruction means nothing without creation. Greater than killing the boy is just the purge. Becoming the man requires construction, brick by brick, mindset by mindset. Because if you don't build something stronger in his place, the boy returns. And this time, he wears your face. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever felt the need to prove yourself in a room? To talk louder, over-explain, defend your name like it's under attack, even when nobody's attacking it? That's not strength. That's the boy inside you, still screaming, "Look at me, I matter." The man doesn't scream. He doesn't plead. He doesn't explain his worth. He executes in silence. That's the first transformation. Kill the fragile ego. Because if your self-worth can be shaken by opinions, you don't have power, you have pride, and that's weak. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world, an emperor, a philosopher, a soldier, and yet he was insulted, mocked, and betrayed, sometimes by his own senate, and he never lashed out, never wrote back, never gave the insult weight. Because Marcus understood, power defends itself through action, not words. His writings still echo through centuries. The voices that mocked him, dust, forgotten. You see this every day in the modern world too. A man walks into a room. You can feel him before he speaks. He doesn't need to dominate with volume. His work already speaks. His presence already commands. Compare him to the fragile man, the one who posts online every time he's criticized, the boss who explains every decision out of guilt, the guy who texts paragraphs defending his boundaries. The boy reacts. The man holds frame. Listen close. Presence is not built through noise. It's built through consistency. The more you react, the more control you give up. The more you explain, the weaker your frame becomes. People don't follow men who explain themselves. They follow the ones who move in silence and win loudly. The fragile ego is hungry. It feeds on attention, validation, being right. But when that hunger controls you, you become emotionally cheap. Anyone can bait you. Anyone can steer you. That's why Machiavelli warned, a ruler must be feared more than he is loved, especially by himself. Meaning, if you don't dominate your ego, it will dominate you. Think about your life right now. Where are you still trying to be understood, to be liked, to be seen? Now ask, what would happen if you stopped explaining and just started building? What if you stopped arguing to be respected and simply became undeniable? A boy defends his reputation. A man lets results do it for him. A boy plays on emotions. A man builds in silence. And here's the final truth. The man who can't be provoked can't be defeated. Let me ask you something personal. When life hits you, really hits you, what do you fall back on? Do you shrink into chaos, start blaming others, or do you have a code, a non-negotiable spine that doesn't bend? See, the boy doesn't have a code. He has moods. One day he's ambitious, the next day broken. One day he's disciplined, the next he disappears. The man, the true man, doesn't move with emotion, he moves by principle. That's your second transformation. Kill the soft identity. Forge an unbreakable code. Machiavelli warned every prince, you must not be ruled by the people's moods or your own. A ruler cannot survive if his decisions change with the wind. He must have a strategy, a code, and stick to it even when it's unpopular. Why? Because consistency builds power. The uncertain man inspires nothing. The man of CODE, he becomes a legend. Scroll through social media. You'll see thousands of young men chasing personality trends. One month they're stoic, next month they're a sigma, next week they're posting about grind set. But ask them, what do you actually stand for? And all you'll hear is noise. That's not power, that's performance. And performances don't last. When you kill the soft identity, you replace it with a CODE. It's not about being robotic, it's about knowing who you are when pressure comes. Examples: I don't chase. I don't explain unless there's a reason. I don't break my word. I don't let emotion dictate my action. I finish what I start. And when you live by that code, people respect you, even if they don't understand you. Because people trust consistency, they fear consistency. So ask yourself this: what's your personal constitution? What are your laws, written in fire and blood, that even you can't break? Because the boy can be manipulated. The boy wants to figure things out. The boy wants to be understood. But the man, he's not here to be liked. He's here to be remembered. And men who are remembered live by code. Here's the truth nobody says. Most of the world is chaotic. So when you become consistent, when you become coded, you instantly rise above 90% of men. Why? Because people can sense that you don't need the world's approval to stay grounded. You move the world. You don't wait for it to shape you. The boy flows with emotion. The man moves with law. The boy is adaptable to the point he becomes nothing. The man carves his name into stone, with blood, with work, with fire. And once a man is forged in code, the world stops trying to change him. It starts orbiting him. The truth is, killing the boy is not the end. It's just the beginning. See, most men think once they stop being soft, stop being needy, stop chasing comfort, they've made it. But Machiavelli knew better. Power isn't gained by just removing weakness. It's gained by replacing it with something cold, sharp, unmistakable, like a sword reforged in fire. You don't just remove the cracks, you shape a new weapon. The boy fades, but if you don't fill that space with strategy, presence, execution, the boy comes back. He returns as hesitation, as self-doubt, as the voice that says, maybe I'm not ready yet. That's why so many men relapse into weakness. They kill the noise, but never replace it with focus. You want to know what scares the world? Not loud men, not angry men. The world fears a man who doesn't flinch, who walks in silence, but you can feel the heat of his intent. He doesn't have to speak. He doesn't have to explain. He's replaced every trace of the boy with the presence of a weapon. That's the hidden truth Machiavelli left for us. You are either sharpening yourself or dulling back into comfort. There's no pause button in this game, no safe zone. You either evolve into something formidable, or the world reminds you you're still soft. So don't stop at killing the boy. Rebuild the man, strike the iron, shape the weapon, because the fire doesn't burn you. If you become the blade, fire. Let's get real for a second. You've probably felt it, that fire at 2 a.m., that motivation high where you swear, tomorrow I'll change everything. But then what happens? You do 5 things on Monday, 2 things on Tuesday, nothing by Friday. The boy thinks execution is a mood. The man treats it like war. Machiavelli didn't write for dreamers. He wrote for men of action, men who don't just think strategy, they live it. One of his key principles? Fortune favors the bold. The prince who delays gets invaded. The general who hesitates gets conquered. Inaction is a decision, and it's usually the one that kills you. I once worked with 2 startup founders, both smart, both well-spoken, both had bold visions. But here's the difference. One wrote 90 pages of strategy. The other launched the MVP and got 10 paying users. Guess which one raised $1 million? Execution doesn't wait for perfect timing. It finds one brutal priority and smashes it daily. Most men don't fail because of laziness. They fail because they spread themselves too thin. One week they're writing a book. Next week they're on crypto. Next month it's real estate. That's not power. That's drowning in distraction. The man cuts the noise. He finds the one path, and he marches until it bends to his will. You want to rise? Here's your code. 1 goal, not 10. Daily strikes, not mood-based attacks. No public declaration, only private domination. Weekly review, ruthless honesty. Build systems, not just willpower. You don't need more motivation, you need a war plan. The boy is scattered. He starts strong and burns out fast. The man, he's a machine, unemotional, focused, unstoppable. You can feel it when he walks in a room, not because he talks big, but because you can sense what he's been building in silence. If the boy dies but no new system is born, the man collapses anyway. That's the paradox. Freedom comes from routine. Confidence comes from execution. Legacy comes from obsession. So build your system, kill the scattered energy, and execute like your name depends on it, because it does. Imagine this. You've stripped every inch of weakness from your being. No more begging. No more apologizing for your existence. No more looking over your shoulder, wondering if you're enough. In its place, you've built discipline. You've forged strategy. You've earned respect, not by shouting, but by standing still when others shake. You've become the man who doesn't chase. He builds, he waits, and when it's time, he strikes. This is what it means to become a man in Machiavelli's world. Not soft masculinity, not surface-level confidence, but deep, unmovable strength. It means you don't just kill the boy, you bury him so deep that no amount of fear, failure, or manipulation can ever bring him back. The boy acted to please. The man acts with purpose. The boy spoke to be heard. The man moves in silence, and the world still listens. The boy feared loss. The man knows what you don't control will eventually control you. So you sharpen, you execute, you remain still, while others fumble in noise. That's not just masculinity. That's dominion. That's power without permission. That's presence without performance. That is what Machiavelli called a ruler.